from the Dallas 48. Wilson protected, heaving one, wants Neighbors, Malik Neighbors, touchdown Giants! He dropped it in the bucket.
The Giants lose 40-37 in overtime against the Dallas Cowboys. This is the morning after the game, and I'm going to be honest, man, it stings. It hurts a little bit in the chest because you think that the team finally wins the game after Malik Neighbors scored that late touchdown, but of course, they find a way to squander it and lose this game. There's a lot to talk about in this game, the good, the bad. We'll be talking about it. We'll be putting a pin on the bad. We'll open up with the good first. But reality of the situation is the Giants are 0-2 against two divisional opponents, and the schedule only gets tougher. It's very annoying where we are at right now. So yesterday, man, let's talk about the good. Russell Wilson balled out. Russell Wilson probably had one of the best performances of his career, and it happened to be in a Giants uniform. I don't know if anybody expected a type of performance like that from Russell Wilson. The guy threw for 450 passing yards. We haven't seen that happen in a very long time. He was balling from the jump, and he kept it going, and unfortunately, he did have a play in overtime that soured a little bit of, what he gave yesterday. It really did. That interception in overtime really killed us. But, overall, when you think about this offense yesterday, Russell Wilson was hooping. The deep ball was as good as we've seen it in the past couple of years from a Giants quarterback. Malik Neighbors had a monster day, but especially that last touchdown. Double covered Malik Neighbors, and Russell Wilson still found a way to throw open his wide receiver. That's the type of connection I was talking about. And shout out to anyone that was on the live stream with me and TP in the morning, man, because that's what I talked about, man. Like, we got to find ways to get that deep ball going. We saw it in training camp. We saw it in preseason, and they found a way to do it today. The Cowboys defense just never made the adjustment. I don't know what it is. I mean, that was the vital play for the Giants yesterday was the deep ball, and they couldn't cover it, and especially with the game on the line, Malik Neighbors put the crowd to sleep, but then the defense and Shane Bowen showed up. That's another conversation pretty soon, but Russell Wilson pretty much gave us what we would have wanted. And it was super huge for him to do that after a disastrous week one performance, no touchdowns, not getting in the end zone. And of course, after not getting in the end zone in week one, the Giants found a way to score 37 points, but still walk away with an L on their record. Russell Wilson had to, hush down the crowd a bit, hush down all the people that were talking about Jackson Dart. Listen, I was even on the court talking about Jackson Dart because that version of Russell Wilson that we got last week, I hope we never see that version of him again. Just being honest. The offensive line wasn't great. But tell me what changed from last week to this week besides James Hudson. Get James Hudson off the team. That's enough. Get James Hudson off the team. I just want to remind you guys, Joe Shane paid James Hudson. James Hudson did not have to be on the team. Joe Shane paid him. And now, he had to get benched, and the offensive line did look better without him. But overall, it was a better conservative performance from the offensive line. The D-line for the Cowboys, I don't think is that great. But the offensive line stepped up. That meant Russell Wilson was also able to step up in the pocket. And he was just more decisive. That's just what I think. He was bailing from the pocket a lot in week one. Clearly, he was under distress. This game, he actually was comfortable and was able to let things fly, literally. Shout out to Wan'Dale Robinson, man. Once again, if you guys were tuned in on the live with TP, I was saying where we can't be resorting to a 3-yard speed out from Wan'Dale Robinson as a consistent streamline of offense. The guy had a career day. He had over 100 yards receiving, almost 150 yards receiving. Wan'Dale Robinson had himself a day. He had a touchdown. Never saw Wan'Dale Robinson used like that in his career up until that point. So Wan'Dale had a career day. Malik Neighbors had an insane day. I think the second most receiving yards in his career, 2 touchdowns on the day. It's everything you would have wanted in a Giants W, and we just did not walk away with it. Cam Scatterbo probably has to be the RB1. After Tyrone Tracy made his comments, they did not start off with Tyrone Tracy. They started filtering him in a bit throughout the game. But Cam Scatterbo was definitely the best runner on the field, and I don't think the offensive line, did him any, service yesterday. He was able to make some ugly runs, churn out some yards, and he was always falling forward. The guy always breaks off the first tackle. Donovan Wilson is probably seeing Cam Scatterbo in his nightmares right now. The Giants walked away with, an L. They didn't win the game. But there is some exciting, points of this team. Marcus Bowe coming in, stepping in at left tackle, which a lot of fans were calling for him instead of James Hudson. They're proven right. Marcus Bowe looked good yesterday. Once again, I was telling everyone, the Cowboys D-line does not scare me. They didn't scare me. There's not a premier name on there. They traded away Micah Parsons and Marcus Bowe stepping in and holding the fort while James Hudson was struggling on that first drive. 4 penalties on the first drive is insane, and the guys still managed to give up a sack as well. The guy's just not it. I hope we don't see James Hudson ever again, honestly. But it's unfortunate that this GM paid James Hudson to be on this team. With all that being said, hopefully Andrew Thomas slots in next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. But if it's not, I want to see Marcus Bowe out there. Marcus Bowe definitely stepped up. A lot of, young pieces that were stepping up for this team today. Switching on to the defensive side of the ball, man. Brian Burns had a sack early on, but it just felt like the defensive line faded away. It did. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the Cowboys made their adjustments. They were chipping both edge rushers. It looked like they had guys getting ready to chip both sides. Early on, the pass rush was effective. Abdul Carter was getting pressures. Abdul Carter is the reason why we got one of our interceptions. Shout out to Andrew Phillips. He had an up and down game, but he was solid overall. Dexter Lawrence, he might be making more plays that we don't see, especially when it comes to the box score. But I'm not seeing the same type of energy we saw from Dexter Lawrence last year. I don't know what it is, man. This is 2 weeks in now. I didn't see too much. We'll see when the tape drops, and we'll see when we're able to rewatch it. But Dexter Lawrence has been a bit too quiet for me, in my opinion. But other than that, the D-line started off well. But as the game went on, man, the Cowboys were able to do what they want. Dak Prescott continues to do what he does against the New York Giants. Their receivers is obviously, talented. They got Pickens and they got CD. CD's always going to get his. We kept him out of the end zone, but Pickens was able to get into the end zone. And Dak Prescott carved this up. I'm not going to lie. Threw for over 300 passing yards, had a couple touchdowns to his name. When the Giants had to get a stop, they weren't able to stop Dak besides overtime. Overtime, the defense stepped up, but we should have never been in overtime. Let's talk about why Shane Bowen is on the hot seat and should be fired like today. He's not going to be, but what is it? Giving up 40 points against the Cowboys offense is not good. Not good football whatsoever. But especially when you got 19 seconds to hold an offense away from field goal range. They have the best kicker in the league, and they can't get it done. They can't get it done. There was nobody sticking. They didn't play a little bit of man. I understand. Maybe they were trying to, not let the deep play happen. But there's ways you can limit that. You decide to sag off and leave the middle of the field wide open. Wide open. Ferguson was able to do like a 15-yard hook and ladder right in the middle of the field, wide open. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. When your offense scores a late touchdown like Malik Neighbors did on actually it was Trayvon Diggs for the first touchdown. He was double covered on the second touchdown. When you get a lead like that, you have to keep the team away from scoring. And something in me told me, man, it felt like the game wasn't over. The Cowboys had three timeouts with 19 seconds left. They got in a field goal range in one play. In one play, it changed everything. And once we went into overtime, I wasn't confident, man. I really wasn't. I felt like the Giants stole a win. They definitely balled out all game, but they definitely stole a win with that late touchdown. And once we went into overtime, my confidence just wasn't there. And that unfortunately led to Russell Wilson throwing an interception, which I don't know what he was throwing it at, man. I really don't. Russell Wilson had a great performance. Literally probably one of his best performances, one of the best performances we've seen from this offense in general. Maybe under Brian Daboll as a whole. Like they were running and gunning down the field. 7 deep balls I saw, over 200 passing yards on deep balls. He had himself a game, but it got squandered in overtime because of he just chucked the ball down the field for whatever reason. It stings. It stings because this team could have walked away with 2 dubs this year. I mean, that first game was a wash. The first game we didn't look good at all. So maybe we pinned that as a loss. But this Cowboys game should have been a W. It really should have been. Russell Wilson, with the way he played, that has to be a win. You can't walk away 0-2, and you still have to play the games, right? I've told everyone for a while, I'm not huge on the Giants having a tough schedule. It is tough when you look at the opponent, but anything can happen. I mean, Joe Burrow just went down for the Bengals. You think a lot of people are looking at the Bengals as a tough matchup now? Anything can happen from here on out on both sides of the ball. But overall, heading into our first home opener on Sunday Night Football against Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, as the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to get right, I'm not confident, man. I'm not confident. Even after a performance like this, the Dallas Cowboys defense and the Kansas City Chiefs defense, 2 different ball games. Steve Spagnuolo, they got Chris Jones on that side. They have some DBs. They're a Super Bowl contending team year in and year out for a reason. This year they're starting off 0-2. There's no other better get-right game than the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. Hopefully the Giants are able to, stomach up some courage and fight for that. But just right now, the vibes are just not good in my opinion. It's not heading into that matchup. The team played a lot better, and for fans that are hyped, for fans that are upset that I'm being a little negative, I can understand the sentiment. The team put up a fight. I'm just tired of this team putting up fights. I want to see wins. I want to see wins in the standings. I want to see the Giants climb in the NFC East standings. I'm tired of seeing them at the bottom. And the reality of the situation is the Giants are 0-2 once again. I think I saw someone say 10 times in the last 13 years. 0-2. Unacceptable. 0-2 is just a sick place to be in, and that's where the Giants find themselves once again. I want you guys to let me know down below, man, what are your thoughts on the game from yesterday? Once again, we talked about the highs, we talked about the lows, but let me know your true thoughts on the game overall. And we understand Shane Bowen probably got to be out of there. James Hudson probably got to be out of there. But can this team fix some of the issues they have and potentially find a win soon? Because if not, once again, this tough schedule, quote unquote, gets even tougher, and the Giants walk away from 2 winnable games, 0-2. Well, you guys let me know down below, man, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.